have a strategy of focusing very much on this comparison between the ordinary treatment and the new treatment that would be possible with our device. So we are building the pitch a lot around that, and everything comes around to the clinical evidence at the end. So for us, it's a very, very big part of the pitch, and also of the investors that we are meeting, that they understand also our case and the reimbursement situation in the US. So for the moment, most of our investors are from Scandinavia, and there is also a big how to say this. It's also important to understand that even though the money comes from Scandinavia, the expertise from the investors will not come from them. So we will need to build this also with expertise from the US to be able to successfully launch our product in the US market.
It's very hard to build a company thinking that you're just going to sell the company to somebody else. So you have to assume that you are going to go to market and turn it into a standalone successful company. Once we made the decision that it was going to be in the US, we wanted a couple, I mean, obviously the fundraising environment is challenging, but we wanted two very specific types of investors to start in that mix. We wanted a customer, or a strategic customer, and we wanted somebody that could one day buy us. And we wanted to get them on the cap table at some point in some fashion, and then fill in the rest with existing investors. Now, maybe in a different market, you go to a big VC firm and then you bring the other two strategics in, but we've been, really commercial, or like getting the company moving since COVID. That really wasn't a great option for us. So we focused on an insurance company. We got CareSource, which is a big insurance company, to make an investment and also commit to being a customer. And then we got Dexcom, which is obviously a company looking for other things outside of glucose, got them to be an investor. And then, believe it or not, there's actually customer strategic overlap. About 10% of anybody who's got diabetes is probably going to have some kind of chronic respiratory disease. So there's a joint commercial channel there. Now what we want to do is get more customers and more strategics. So Dexcom isn't the only strategic that has an interest in acquiring us. All of that being said, we're planning to generate revenue and be commercial, and that's really the only path that we're focused on. And if somebody else decides that, we don't need to be on that path, that's great, but our fundraising is focused on that. The strategic investors that are customers, strategic investors that could buy us, and then filling in the gap with capital that can really help us grow the business. So venture capital or individual capital.
Yeah, I think if I were to take what you said, I would put it into a word of, the word I would use is credibility, establishing credibility with the investors. Because when you're starting a company and you don't have a product yet on the market or anything, you have to show that your plan is credible, that your team is credible, all those things, because the investors are essentially trusting you to do what you said you were going to do. So you can't have outlandish timelines. You can't have guesses at market segments or addressable market sizes. You have to have pressure tested these things and then show the evidence that you have pressure tested them, and have the appropriate experts with the depth of experience that they're on your team and they're helping you. And so I think that's what I've seen in more successful pitch decks. One of the things that I wanted to bring up that I think people don't think enough about is obtaining non-dilutive funding through essentially what are peer-reviewed validation of your product before it's a real product. So like the SBIR program in the United States, or many governments in Europe, I know, have their own innovation funds, VC funds. So if you can attract funding from those sorts of things, that's a big stamp of credibility on your company and your product. And that should be like right up top, on your pitch deck. So I think those are good ways to then bring in other sources of funding. So you guys are in the thick of it. You're doing it every day. I'm just sort of seeing, overviews and general trends. So.